You can be found at every place. It's trending, and it's getting popular. The kind of heat that you can't ignore is this one. When it comes to the rumors, they are really wild. People are talking, screens are lighting up, and more. Someone else's name is being brought into the mix, and it is connected to yours in ways that you did not anticipate. There are rumors of links, hidden truths, and secret linkages that are circulating like a storm. Who accuses whom, exactly? In all honesty, what is going on? One thing is very clear. Your name is currently a major topic of conversation, and everyone is asking the same question. Is there truly someone who is on your side? There is widespread belief that something is taking place. They have the impression that you are sneaking around, establishing contacts late at night, or trying to patch things up with someone who ought to have been gone for a very long time. You do not post, and you do not explain. And for some reason, the absence of validation feeds their paranoia more than the realities of the situation could ever do. They are looking for clues in the manner in which you grin, the music that you upload, and the timestamps that are included on your articles. Whenever they are unable to locate answers, they come up with their own. Others are adamant that you are ghosting everyone in order to covertly entertain someone, while others are adamant that you are back with an old flame. Basically, you are just existing, breathing, and living. However, they view that as being suspicious. Your lack of speech creates a significant amount of noise. It shakes cages, causes disruptions in comfort zones, and threatens the idea of closure. Because if you are truly finished, if you have truly moved on, then why does your energy still seem like it is so present? In point of fact, the mystery is not what you are doing. Rather, it is the reason why they are still so consumed. The fact that you are not providing an explanation for yourself is the very reason why they continue to discuss. Your detachment does not appear to be an attempt to avoid the situation. Rather, it appears to be a plan, as if you are aware of something that others are not, as if you have already won and you are too dignified to boast about it. The fact that they anticipated havoc from you is enough to set them off to action. They anticipated resentment, a reaction, and a disruption. You, on the other hand, bestowed upon them grace, progress, and a peaceful elevation. In other words, they are unable to process that information. Since they are accustomed to loudness, you provided them with silence. They had been accustomed to pursuing drama, but you proceeded very quietly. Now that the silence has been broken, they are frantically trying to fill it with their own voices, but they are completely unaware that your name is still the most loud thing in the room. They declared that you were a chapter to be closed, a lesson to be learned, and a mistake to be forgotten. They said that they were over you. But the people in their immediate vicinity are not buying it. There has been a noticeable change in their disposition. When they mention your name, the strain in their voice is too raw to be comfortable. Their silence is not neutral. Rather, it exudes defensiveness. At this point, questions are being posed, and they are not being whispered behind their backs. Rather, they are being voiced out loud. Are you still talking to them? When they come up, why do you behave differently than usual? The accusation is that someone is still connected to you, that they are surreptitiously checking on you, and that they are reminiscing about the past while they are meant to be moving on with their lives. The answer is no. As expected, denial comes quickly. However, vitality does not lie. The way they carry themselves is a clear indication of what they are saying. When your name is mentioned, they will flinch. They will become silent when you post anything powerful. and their eyes will remain fixed on you whenever you appear on a screen. It is not their responses that reveal the truth. Rather, it is their reactions, the emotional distance, the way they drift off in the middle of a conversation, and the comparisons that are not spoken about are all being seen by people. Everything is at last beginning to make sense. They may be physically present with another person, but their spirit is lagging behind, locked in memories, in blunders, and in moments that they are unable to recreate. Even after you went, your energy did not end, and others who are all around them experience it as if it were static in the air. It is unsettling, electrifying, and indisputable. They are perplexed, stuck between feelings of betrayal and yearning. It is difficult for them to defend themselves because the truth is too burdensome. Your stillness is more audible to them than the noise that is going on in their life, but they do not want to recognize it. They don't want to admit that they don't feel the same way about anyone else except for you. You didn't stumble here by accident. You were led. If something in your spirit is stirring, don't ignore it. Tap Join to access exclusive content, prophetic insights, and a community of purpose-driven souls. This isn't just a membership. It's your moment of alignment. Step into who you were born to be. Welcome to the chosen. As a result, they fumble, they avoid, and they fool around. On the other hand, pretending no longer shields them from what is completely clear. And the rumors are spreading because, regardless of how many times they declare that it is finished, everyone is beginning to become aware of the fact that they have never abandoned you. Not really, not in terms of energy and not in terms of emotions. In spite of the fact that they are currently standing next to someone else, the shadow of your presence continues to extend across their world. You then left the room. The healing was done by you. You sever the cables there. You shut the door, yet it continued to open and close again. Your energy, however, clings to them like smoke, even when you are at a distance from them. It is not your fault. You were the one who let them go. It was you who set them free. They failed to recognize that leaving behind a person who had lifted their soul would leave behind an echo, one that would shake their spirit in times of quiet reflection. Rather than reaching out, replying, or hoping, you stopped doing all of those things. However, they are aware of you everywhere. An important thing was misplaced by them. Awakening was the best way to describe you. You were more than simply a person. Because of the clarity that you offered, every superficial connection now feels like nothing more than background noise. People make an effort to replicate you in other people, but it never succeeds. The depth of your energy has been lost, and everything in their environment now feels empty. Not because they were dependent on you, but rather because your presence brought them serenity. Your absence caused a disruption in their routine. Further, that tranquility cannot be replicated. Those who are in their immediate vicinity are unaware of the change, but they are able to perceive it. For example, the way your name causes conflicts and the way your memory alters the atmosphere in a room. When you are mentioned, the atmosphere becomes more dense. Your name is now a test of their honesty, of their recovery, and of the deception that they are attempting to peddle, which is that they have moved on. They are unable to avoid the reactions because your name is now under scrutiny. As opposed to being plagued by the past, they are tormented by the potential. They are aware that along with you, they could have risen. They are aware that they could have chosen ego, perplexity, or convenience. You are now reminding them of what they have let go of with every win that you publish and every glow-up that you expose. It is spiritual warfare carried out under the guise of casual remorse. They were forced to learn the lesson that they did not want to learn, and the lesson continues coming up again and again. Those who are in their immediate vicinity are unaware of the change, but they are able to perceive it. For example, the way your name causes conflicts and the way your memory alters the atmosphere in a room. When you are mentioned, the atmosphere becomes more dense. It is impossible for them to avoid the reactions because your name is now a test of their honesty, of their ability to heal, and of the fiction that they continue to try to peddle, which is that they have gone on. Rather than being tormented by the past, they are haunted by the possibilities. They are aware that along with you, they could have risen. They are aware that they could have chosen ego, perplexity, or convenience. As a result, every victory you broadcast and every glow-up you reveal serves as a constant reminder of what they have let go of. It is spiritual warfare carried out under the guise of casual remorse. You turned out to be the lesson that they did not wish to learn, and that lesson continues to come back to haunt them. If your heart overflows with God's blessings, let that love shine. Click the super thank you button and give $20 or more to plant seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your generosity reflects His abundance. Be a vessel of His grace and watch His kingdom flourish through you. Everything is being dissected by them, including the manner in which you have been dressing, the manner in which you have been smiling, the random sites that you tag, and even the manner in which you are no longer reacting to provocations. According to them, that kind of tranquility can only be achieved through love, through closeness, and through someone who is able to keep you happy in private. Their universe does not make sense when you consider the possibility that you may feel this whole on your own. Your glow, however, is not the result of a romantic relationship. Rather, it is the result of a release. You let go of the disorder. You distanced yourself from those individuals who required access to your suffering in order to feel relevant. You stopped attempting to explain yourself to those individuals who were determined to misunderstand you. They are under the impression that you are concealing something because you have moved in silence, climbed to a higher elevation without making any noise, and become too quiet to trace. It is something that they do not wish to acknowledge, but what they are actually seeing is a transformation. This is the kind of radiance that can be produced by no filter, no shot, and no false relationship combination. There has been a flurry of accusations. People are pressuring someone to confess, not because they have witnessed something concrete, but because they can feel the unease in their spirit. Words such as "they're still talking," "they never really left," and "they're hiding something" are examples of the pressure that people are applying. The disagreement is not about what they are doing. Rather, it is about what they are refusing to acknowledge. When your name is mentioned, there is a change in the atmosphere. The reasons they are making are stuttering, they are over-explaining, and they are avoiding the question. And no one believes them, not because they are terrible liars, but rather because the truth continues to seep through the holes in their energy whenever they are around. Not only are you not physically present, but you are also not messaging, calling, or showing up. However, your presence may be found in every nook and cranny. The allegations are merely a surface-level reaction to something more profound. People have a sense of the connection that continues to exist in the background, a soul thread that was never broken, and a door that was closed but never locked. Being caught is not the only concern here. The issue at hand is being brought to light, that they are still communicating with you, is not the true cause for concern. The true concern is that they continue to want to, and the person they are with is aware of this desire. Although they are unable to compete with what they cannot see, they are aware of the pull that is similar to gravity. Their instincts are screaming, and their heart is aware of the reality, despite the fact that their head is struggling to acknowledge it. Not only do they feel threatened, but more than that, they feel invisible in the presence of a link that continues to exist in quiet. It is even more unfortunate that the person who is being accused does not even need to commit any wrongdoing in order to appear guilty. This is because their energy speaks, which includes the way they hesitate, the way they become defensive, and the way their manner changes when you are mentioned. That is what is showing the truth. They are still attached to you, and there is no lie, no denial, and no argument that can erase what is already inscribed in their aura. You didn't stumble here by accident. You were led. If something in your spirit is stirring, don't ignore it. Tap Join to access exclusive content, prophetic insights, and a community of purpose-driven souls. This isn't just a membership. It's your moment of alignment. Step into who you were born to be. Welcome to the chosen. Instead of being plagued by you, they are haunted by the version of themselves that they lost when they had to let you go. The allegations are hurtful, but not because they are untrue. Rather, they are hurtful because they reveal a want that individuals have been preventing themselves from expressing. The entire globe is now aware of it. It is not you who is the antagonist in this tale. Rather, you are the mirror. This reflection is the aspect that they cannot bring themselves to confront. Absolutely nothing has been the same for them ever since the day you came into their lives. You did not only enter the scene, rather, you altered the frequency. They had buried something deep, but you were able to uncover it. The roles they were playing, the masks they were wearing, and the people they were trying to impress were all called into question as a result of your actions. Not only was your connection romantic, but it was also catalytic that it was. It roused them from their sleep, and as soon as the awakening began, everything in their immediate vicinity started to shake. They started thinking differently and moving differently as well. They raised doubts about things that they had previously accepted without question. The patterns that they were brought up to repeat were disturbed as a result of the seeds of self-awareness that you planted. Not only were you not love in the conventional sense, but you were also a mirror, a trigger, and a light that was too bright to ignore. And when you departed, the impact did not diminish. Rather, it increased. Friends, family members, and partners were among those who took note. The shift was clear to them. Some people did not like it, while others took it as a threat, mainly due to the fact that your presence did not only have an effect on them, but it also began to expose everyone all around them. They started to scratch the lies that they had become accustomed to living with, and the illusions that they had formerly held started to fall apart. Not only did you break the mold, but you completely broke it, and there is always opposition to the kind of disruption that is being discussed here. Now they are surrounded by individuals who are attempting to draw them back into the previous version of themselves, the version that conformed to the norms, carried out the regulations, and acted in a submissive manner. Many of the same individuals believe that you are the reason for the change. You were identified as the scapegoat, the disruptor, and the wild card that they were unable to manage. It became common knowledge that your name was connected with defiance, clarity, and development. That is terrifying for those individuals who thrive on being manipulated. This, however, was not the end of the ripple. Each and every room they entered, each and every conversation they had, and each and every decision they began to reevaluate were all affected by it. You were the one who interrupted the cycle, and cycles despise being snapped. This is the reason why there is tension, why there is gossip, and why your name is stuck in people's minds. Not only did you adore them, but you also roused them from their sleep. In addition, the entire environment that they had previously come to accept is now attempting to compel them to go back to sleep. In addition to being an experience, you were the transformation that took place. The aftershock of your energy is still being felt by those who have never even met you, but they have sensed your presence via the changes that they are unable to ignore any longer. There are some people in the room who are not opposed to you, while those who are the most vocal are using your name as if it were an insult. There is someone who has been silently and discreetly speaking up for you. Different things are being said about you behind closed doors, in quiet tones, and with uncertain gaps in between sentences. When you are not the intended recipient of a communication, the phrase, "They are not the villain you think they are," may fall through the cracks. Someone has become aware of the truth, and they are no longer content to allow lies to define your name. What actually took place was witnessed by them. They had a look at the disintegration from the inside. They are aware of who made a terrible mistake, who gave up, and who did not show up for you. However, despite the fact that they are not yet prepared to proclaim it from the rooftops, they are sick of acting as if you were the inconvenience. The same individuals who were once involved in dragging your name are now hearing a different story, one that is tinged with accountability and truths that are unsettling. It is causing it to shake their perception. There are some people in the room who are not opposed to you, while those who are the most vocal are using your name as if it were an insult. There is someone who has been silently standing in your defense, behind closed doors, speaking in hushed tones and pausing uncertainly. You are being referred to in a different manner. When you are not the intended recipient of a communication, the phrase, "They are not the villain you think they are," may fall through the cracks. Someone has become aware of the truth, and they are no longer content to allow lies to define your name. What actually took place was witnessed by them. They had a look at the disintegration from the inside. They are aware of who made a terrible mistake, who gave up, and who did not show up for you. However, despite the fact that they are not yet prepared to proclaim it from the rooftops, they are sick of acting as if you were the inconvenience. The same individuals who were once involved in dragging your name are now hearing a different story, one that is tinged with accountability and truths that are both uncomfortable and surprising. It is causing it to shake their perception. It is possible that the person who is defending you does not even like you, but maintaining respect does not require affection. They are aware of your good grace. They remember the manner in which you dealt with betrayal and the manner in which you simply walked away without setting the entire world ablaze. Now that they are witnessing the turmoil unfold without you being a part of it, they are aware that you never needed to fabricate a story, since the truth ultimately reveals itself. This is a shifting of whispers. Because of the force that your silence possesses, the allegiance that they had to the version of events that portrayed you as negative is beginning to break down. Your refusal to play the victim and your lack of public reprisal have caused people to reevaluate what they have previously believed. The person who is defending you is not attempting to elevate you to the status of a hero. Rather, they are just determined to prevent others from erasing the truth about what you contributed to the table. People are being pulled aside and told to be real, as they have begun doing so. You are aware that it was not all of them. This ripple is flowing through circles that were previously solely resonating with negativity. This is the beginning of accountability, as well as the beginning of doubt and reluctance. In spite of the fact that you are not present to hear it, your presence is being recognized in places where your voice has been absent. In other words, truth does not require a defense squad. This is the beauty of truth. However, there are occasions when it is still able to receive one, quietly and strategically, from someone who is aware of the truth and can no longer allow themselves to remain silent while others rewrite your legacy in lies. Because they were surrounded by praises, affirmation, and support on the surface level, they believed that they had made the right decision. They were able to persuade themselves that the mob was the correct choice. Your behavior was erratic, and you were too genuine and intense. Applause, uniformity, and comfort were all supplied by the crowd, but there was no growth. They chose what was simple, what appeared to be appealing, and what was consistent with the narrative that they were too afraid to challenge. At this point, however, the cheering has stopped, and the feeling of regret is overwhelming. People are being pulled aside and told to be real as they have begun doing so. You are aware that it was not all of them. This ripple is flowing through circles that were previously solely resonating with negativity. This is the beginning of accountability, as well as the beginning of doubt and reluctance. In spite of the fact that you are not present to hear it, your presence is being recognized in places where your voice has been absent. In other words, truth does not require a defense squad. This is the beauty of truth. However, there are occasions when it is still able to receive one, quietly and strategically, from someone who is aware of the truth and can no longer allow themselves to remain silent while others rewrite your legacy in lies. Because they were surrounded by praises, affirmation, and support on the surface level, they believed that they had made the right decision. They were able to persuade themselves that the mob was the correct choice. Your behavior was erratic and very intense. Applause, uniformity, and comfort were all supplied by the crowd, but there was no growth. They chose what was simple, what appeared to be appealing, and what was consistent with the narrative that they were too afraid to challenge. At this point, however, the cheering has stopped, and the feeling of regret is overwhelming. There was a trade-off between depth and noise, between connection and clout. Your gift of soul, healing, and truth was made, but it required them to confront themselves, and they were not prepared to do so. Therefore, they ran in the direction of the familiar, the loud, and the basic. They had the belief that they could conceal the connection by using distractions. However, when the party came to an end and the crowd stopped applauding, they were left with echoes. When they heard those echoes, it brought back memories of everything they had lost: tranquility, sincerity, and you. It is the same individuals who took them away from you who are now the ones who are betraying them. The grins had turned into smirks on their faces. A conditional validation is being provided. Instead of being filled with love, the environment that they choose is full with performance and politics. The recollection of your voice, your steadiness, and your honesty is what they hear in the midst of the chaos that is existing between them. Those things that they believe they did not require are suddenly the things that they are hankering after instead. The fact that they are aware that you did not pursue them makes the remorse more profound. Not once did you beg. It is not true that you competed with the audience. There is elegance and dignity in the way that you let them go. That is the portion that they are unable to avoid. Not only did you lose them, but they also lost you. And at this point, they are unable to escape the need to make peace with the decision that they made out of fear rather than faith. They found your tranquility to be uninteresting. At this point, they realize that it was for protection. They believed that your boundaries were a form of submission. They are now aware that they were its structure.